The Mahabharata of Krishnadvapayana Vyosa. Book 1. Adiparva. Section 186. Swayamvara Parva. Vayampayana said, Then those Tigers among men, those brothers, the 5 Pandavas, set out for Panchala to behold that country and Draupadi in the festivities, in view of her marriage. And those Tigers among men, those oppressors of all enemies, in going along with their mother, saw on the way numerous Brahmanas proceeding together. And those Brahmanas who were all Brahmacharis beholding the Pandavas, O king, asked them, Where are ye going to? Whence also are ye come? And Yudhishthira replied unto them, saying, Ye bulls among Brahmanas, know ye that we are uterine brothers proceeding together with our mother? We are coming even from Ekakakra. The Brahmanas then said, Go ye this very day to the abode of Drupada in the country of the Panchalas. A great Swayamvara takes place there, on which a large sum of money will be spent. We also are proceeding thither. Let us all go together. Extraordinary festivities will take place in Drupada's abode. The illustrious Yajnasena, otherwise called Drupada, had a daughter risen from the center of the sacrificial altar. Of eyes like lotus petals and her faultless features endued with youth and intelligence, she is extremely beautiful. And the slender-waist Draupadi of every feature perfectly faultless, and whose body emitted a fragrance like unto that of the blue lotus for 2 full miles around, is a sister of the strong-armed Dhrishtadyumna gifted with great prowess, the would-be slayer of Drona, who was born with natural mail and sword and bow and arrows from the blazing fire, himself like unto the second fire. And that daughter of Yajnasena will select a husband from among the invited princes. And we are repairing thither to behold her in the festivities on the occasion, like unto the festivities of heaven. And to the Swayamvara will come from various lands kings and princes who are performers of sacrifices in which the presents to the Brahmanas are large, who are devoted to study, are holy, illustrious, and have rigid vows, who are young and handsome, and who are mighty warriors and accomplished in arms. Desirous of winning the hand of the maiden, those monarchs will all give away much wealth and king and food and other articles of enjoyment. And taking all they will give away and witnessing the Swayamvara, and enjoying the festivities, we shall go wheresoever we like. And there will also come unto that Swayamvara, from various countries, actors, and bards singing the panegyrics of kings, and dancers, and reciters of Puranas, and heralds, and powerful athletes. And beholding all these sights and taking what will be given away to illustrious ones, ye will return with us. Ye are all handsome and like unto the celestials. Beholding you, Krishna may, by chance, choose someone amongst you superior to the rest. This thy brother of mighty arms and handsome and endued with beauty also, engaged in athletic encounters, may, by chance, earn great wealth. On hearing these words of the Brahmanas, Yudhishthira replied, Ye Brahmanas, we will all go with you to witness that maiden Swayamvara, that excellent jubilee. Section 187. Vayampayana said, Thus stressed by the Brahmanas, the Pandavas, O Janamaya, proceeded towards the country of the southern Panchalas ruled over by the king Drupada. And on the way those heroes beheld the illustrious Dvapayana, the Muni of pure soul, and perfectly sinless. And duly saluting the Rishi and saluted by him, after their conversation was over, commanded by him they proceeded to Drupada's abode. And those mighty chariot fighters proceeded by slow stages, staying for some time within those beautiful woods and by fine lakes that they beheld along their way. Devoted to study, pure in their practices, amiable, and sweet-speeched, the Pandavas at last entered the country of the Panchalas. And beholding the capital, as also the fort, they took up their quarters in the house of a potter. Adopting the Brahmanical profession, they began to lead an eleemosynary life. and no man recognized those heroes during their stay in Drupada's capital. Yajnasena always cherished the desire of bestowing his daughter on Kirti, Arjuna, the son of Pandu. But he never spoke of it to anybody. And Ojanamayaya, the king of Panchala, thinking of Arjuna, caused a very stiff bow to be made that was incapable of being bent by any except Arjuna. Causing some machinery to be erected in the sky, the king set up a mark attached to the machinery. And Drupada said, "He that will string this bow and with these well-adorned arrows shoot the mark above the machine shall obtain my daughter." Vahampayana continued, "With these words King Drupada proclaimed the Swayamvara. On hearing at them, Odbharata, the kings of other lands came to his capital. And there came also many illustrious rishis desirous of beholding the Swayamvara. And there came also, O king, Duryodhana and the crews accompanied by Kama. There also came many superior brahmanas from every country. And the monarchs who came there were all received with reverence by the illustrious Drupada. Desirous of beholding the Swayamvara, the citizens, roaring like the sea, all took their seats on the platforms that were erected around the amphitheater. The monarch entered the grand amphitheater by the northeastern gate. And the amphitheater, which itself had been erected on an auspicious and level plain to the northeast of Drupada's capital, was surrounded by beautiful mansions. And it was enclosed on all sides with high walls and a moat with arched doorways here and there. The vast amphitheater was also shaded by a canopy of various colors. And resounding with the notes of thousands of trumpets, it was scented with black aloes and sprinkled all over with water mixed with sandal paste and decorated with garlands of flowers. It was surrounded with high mansions perfectly white and resembling the cloud-kissing peaks of Kailasa. The windows of those mansions were covered with networks of gold. The walls were set with diamonds and precious costly carpets and cloths. All those mansions, adorned with wreaths and garlands of flowers and rendered fragrant with excellent aloes, were all white and spotless, like unto the necks of swans. And the fragrance therefrom could be perceived from the distance of a yojana, 8 miles. And they were each furnished with 100 doors wide enough to admit a crowd of persons. They were adorned with costly beds and carpets, and beautified with various metals. They resembled the peaks of the Himalaya. And in those 7-storied houses of various sizes dwelt the monarchs invited by Drupada, whose persons were adorned with every ornament and who were possessed with the desire of excelling one another. And the inhabitants of the city and the country who had come to behold Krishna and taken their seats on the excellent platforms erected around, beheld seated within those mansions those lions among kings who were all endued with the energy of great souls. And those exalted sovereigns were all adorned with the fragrant paste of the black aloe. Of great liberality, they were all devoted to Brahma and they protected their kingdoms against all foes. And for their own good deeds they were loved by the whole world. The Pandavas, too, entering that amphitheater, sat with the Brahmanas and beheld the unequalled affluence of that king of the Panchalas. And that concourse of princes, brahmanas, and others, looking gay at the performances of actors and dancers, large presents of every kind of wealth being constantly made, began to swell day by day. And it lasted, O king, several days, till on the 16th day when it was at its full, the daughter of Drupada, O bull of the Bharata race, having washed herself clean, entered the amphitheater, richly attired and adorned with every ornament and bearing in her hand a dish of gold, wherein were the usual offerings of arghya, and a garland of flowers. Then the priest of the lunar race, a holy Brahmana conversing with all mantras, ignited the sacrificial fire and poured on it with due rites libations of clarified butter. And gratifying Agni by these libations and making the Brahmanas utter the auspicious formula of benediction, stopped the musical instruments that were playing all around. And when that vast amphitheater, O monarch, became perfectly still, Thrishtadyumna possessed of a voice deep as the sound of the kettle drum of the clouds, taking hold of his sister's arm, stood in the midst of the concourse, and said, with a voice loud and deep as the roar of the clouds, these charming words of excellent import: Hear ye assembled kings, this is the bow, that is the mark, and these are the arrows. Shoot the mark through the orifice of the machine with these 5 sharpened arrows. Truly do I say that, possessed of lineage, beauty of persons, and strength, whoever achieveth this great feat shall obtain today this my sister, Krishna, for his wife. Having thus spoken unto the assembled monarchs, Drupada's son then addressed his sister, reciting unto her the names and lineages and achievements of those assembled lords of the earth. Section 188. Thrishtadyumna said, Dridana, Durvisarha, Umkha and Spurtashana, Vivinsati, Vikarna, Salha, and Dasasana, Uyutsu and Vruveda and Bhimavegara, Ugrada, Velki, Kanokari, and Varakana, Sukanarle, Chitrasana, Suvarka, and Kanakadwaja, Nandaka, and Varsale, and Tuhande, and Vikata. These, O sister, and many other mighty sons have Dhritarashtra, all heroes, accompanied by Karna, have come for thy hand. Innumerable other illustrious monarchs, all bulls among Kshatriyas, have also come for thee. Sakni, Savala, Vrishaka, and Brihadvala, these sons have the king Gandhara, have also come. Foremost of all wielders of weapons, the illustrious Aswatthama and Bhoja, adorned with every ornament, have also come for thee. Vrihanta, Manamana, Dandashara, Sarada, Jayatsena, Meghasandi, Virta with his 2 sons Sankha and Uttara, Vardakshami, Soma, Sainavind, Sukhetu with his 2 sons Suma and Suvarka, Suchitra, Sukramara, Vrika, Satyadriti, Jriadwija, Rekamana, Nila, Chitrada, Esman, Chekitana, the mighty Saranaman, Chandrasana the mighty son of Samdrasana, Jarsandha, Viganda, and Danda, the father and son, Pandrika, Vasudeva, Bhagatata endued with great energy, Kalinga, Tamralipta, the king of Petna, the mighty car warrior Salya, the king of Madra, with the son, the heroic Rukmangarda, Rukmaratha, Samadatra of the Kuru race with his 3 sons, almighty chariot fighters and heroes, namely, Bhuri, Bhurisrava, and Sala, Stakshina, Kamboja of the Pur race, Brihadvala, Shina, Sivi, the son of Sanara, Patranahanta, the king of Karusha, Sankarshana, Volodva the mighty son of Rukmini, Sema, Karushna, the son of Pradyumna with Geda, Akrura, Satyaki, the high Saldudava, Kritavarman, the son of Hridika, Prith, Vikrith, Vidaratha, Kanka, Sankwith Graveshana, Asavaha, Aniruddha, Samika, Saramjaya, the heroic Vedapi Jilikpindaraka, the powerful Sanara, all these of the Vrishna race, Bhagirath say, Brihatkshatra, Jayadratha the son of Sindhu, Vrihadratha, Valhika, the mighty Charitrasurtani, Yaluka, Katava, Chitrangada and Suvangada, the highly intelligent Vatsarja, the king of Kosala, Sisupala and the powerful Jarasandha, these and many other great kings, all Kshatriyas celebrated throughout the world, have come, O Blessed One, for thee. Endued with prowess, these will shoot the mark. And thou shalt choose him for thy husband who amongst these will shoot the mark. Section 189. Vahampayana said, Then those youthful princes, adorned with their rings, vying with one another and each regarding himself accomplished in arms and gifted with might, stood up brandishing their weapons. And intoxicated with pride of beauty, prowess, lineage, knowledge, wealth, and youth, They were like Himalayan elephants in the season of rut, with crowns split from excess of temporal juice. And beholding each other with jealousy and influenced by the god of desire, they suddenly rose up from their royal seats, exclaiming, "Krishna shall be mine." And the Kshatriyas assembled in that amphitheater, each desirous of winning the daughter of Drupada, looked like the celestial of old, standing round Uma, the daughter of the king of mountains. Afflicted with the shafts of the god of the flowery bow and with hearts utterly lost in the contemplation of Krishna, those princes descended into the amphitheater for winning the Panchla maiden and began to regard even their best friends with jealousy. And there came also the celestials on their cars, with the Dress and the Edajis, the Veses and the twin swings, the Swatas and all the Murtes, and Kuver with Yama walking ahead. And there came also the Dayas and the Suparnas, the great Nagas and the celestial Rishis, the Garkas and the Karanas and Praswavasu and Narada and Parvata, and the principal Gandharvas with Apsaras. And Halarda, Valagda, and Janardana, Krishna, and the chief of the paragraph continues Vrishni, and Daka, and Yadava tribes who obeyed the leadership of Krishna were also there, viewing the scene. And beholding those elephants en route, the 5 Pandavas, attracted towards Draupadi like mighty elephants towards a lake overgrown with lotus, or like fire covered with ashes, Krishna the foremost of Yadu heroes began to reflect. And they said unto Rama, Valagda, that is Yudhishthira, that is Bhima with Jason, Arjuna, and those are the twin heroes. And Rama surveying them slowly cast a glance of satisfaction at Krishna. Biting their lips in wrath, the other heroes there, sons and grandsons of kings, with their eyes and hearts and thoughts set on Krishna, looked with expanded eyes on Draupadi alone without noticing the Pandavas. And the sons have Prita also, of mighty arms, and the illustrious twin heroes, beholding Draupadi, were all likewise struck by the shafts of Kama. And crowded with celestial Rishis and Gandharvas and Suparnas and Nagas and Ajaras and Siddhas, and filled with celestial perfumes and scattered over with celestial flowers, and resounding with the kettle drum and the deep hum of infinite voices, and echoing with the softer music of the flute, the veena, and the tabor, the cars of the celestials could scarcely find a passage through the firmament. Then those princes, Karna, Dridana, Salwa, Selya, Aswaghaman, Kretha, Sunita, Vakra, the ruler of Kalinga and Bangla, Pongya, Pondra, the ruler of Vikya, the chief of the Yavanas, and many other sons and grandsons of kings, sovereigns of territories with eyes like lotus petals, one after another began to exhibit prowess for winning the maiden of unrivaled beauty. Adorned with crowns, garlands, bracelets, and other ornaments, endued with mighty arms, possessed of prowess and vigor and bursting with strength and energy, those princes could not, even in imagination, string that bow of extraordinary stiffness. And, some amongst those kings and exerting with swelling lips each according to his strength, education, skill, and energy, to string that bow, were tossed on the ground and lay perfectly motionless for some time. Their strength spent and their crowns and garlands loosened from their persons, they began to pant for breath, and their ambition of winning that fair maiden was cooled. Tossed by the tough bow, and their garlands and bracelets and other ornaments disordered, they began to utter exclamations of woe. And that assemblage of monarchs, their hope of obtaining Krishna gone, looked sad and woeful. And beholding the plight of those monarchs, Karna, that foremost of all wielders of the bow, went to where the bow was, and quickly raising it strung it and placed the arrows on the string. And beholding the son of Ajarya, Karna of the Stur tribe, like unto fire, or Soma, Ajarya himself, resolved to shoot the mark. Those foremost of bowmen, the sons of Pandu, regarded the mark as already shot and brought down upon the ground. But seeing Karna, Draupadi loudly said, I will not select a Stur for my lord. Then Karna, laughing in vexation and casting glance at the sun, threw aside the bow already drawn to a circle. Then when all those Kshatriyas gave up the task, the heroic king of the Chetas, mighty as Yama, Pluto, himself, the illustrious and determined Sisupala, the son of Damagasa, in endeavoring to string the bow, himself fell upon his knees on the ground. Then King Jarasandha, endued with great strength and powers, approaching the bow, stood there for some moment, fixed and motionless like a mountain. Tossed by the bow, he too fell upon his knees on the ground, and rising up, the monarch left the amphitheater for, returning to, his kingdom. Then the great hero Salya, the king of Magadha, endued with great strength, in endeavoring to string the bow fell upon his knees on the ground. At last, when in that assemblage consisting of highly respectable people, all the monarchs had become subjects of derisive talk, that foremost of heroes, Jishan, the son of Kunti, desired to string the bow and place the arrows on the bowstring. Section 190. Vampayana continued. When all the monarchs had desisted from stringing that bow, the high self Jishan arose from among the crowd of Brahmanas seated in that assembly. And beholding Partha possessing the complexion of Indra's banner, advancing towards the bow, the principal Brahmanas shaking their deer skins raised a loud clamor. And while some were displeased, there were others that were well pleased. And some there were, possessed of intelligence and foresight, who addressing one another said, Ye Brahmanas, how can a Brahmana stripling practiced in arms and weak in strength, string that bow which such celebrated Kshatriyas as Salya and others endued with might and accomplished in the science and practice of arms could not? If he doth not achieve success in this untried task which he hath undertaken from a spirited boy shuns steadiness, the entire body of Brahmanas here will be rendered ridiculous in the eyes of the assembled monarchs. Therefore, forbid this Brahmana that he may not go to string the bow which he is, even now, desirous of doing from vanity, childish daring, or mere unsteadiness. Others replied, We shall not be made ridiculous, nor shall we incur the disrespect of anybody or the displeasure of the sovereigns. Some remarked, This handsome youth is even like the trunk of a mighty elephant, whose shoulders and arms and thighs are so well built, who in patience looks like the Himavat, whose gait is even like that of the lion, and whose prowess seems to be like that of an elephant in rout, and who is so resolute, that it is probable that he will accomplish this feat. He has strength and resolution. If he had none, he would never go of his own accord. Besides, there's nothing in the three worlds that Brahmanas of all mortal men cannot accomplish. Abstaining from all food, or living upon air or eating of fruits, persevering in their vows, and emaciated and weak, Brahmanas are ever strong in their own energy. One should never disregard a Brahmana, whether his acts be right or wrong, by supposing him incapable of achieving any task that is great or little, or that is fraught with bliss or woe. Rama the son of Jamadagni defeated in battle all the Kshatriyas. Agastya by his Brahma energy drank off the fathomless ocean. Therefore, say ye, let this youth bend the bow and string it with ease, and many said, So be it. And the Brahmanas continued speaking unto one another these and other words. Then Arjuna approached the bow and stood there like a mountain. And walking round that bow, and bending his head unto the giver of boons, the Lord Isana, and remembering Krishna also, he took it up. And that bow which Rukma, Sunita, Vakra, Radha's son, Dridana, Salya, and many other kings accomplished in the science and practice of arms, could not even with great exertion, string, Arjuna, the son of Indra, that foremost of all persons endued with energy and like unto the younger brother of Indra, Vishnu, in might, strung in the twinkling of an eye. And taking up the 5 arrows he shot the mark and caused it to fall down on the ground through the hole in the machine above which it had been placed. Then there arose a loud uproar in the firmament, and the amphitheatre also resounded with a loud clamor. And the gods showered celestial flowers on the head of Partha the slayer of foes. and thousands of Brahmanas began to wave their upper garments in joy. And all around, the monarchs who had been unsuccessful uttered exclamations of grief and despair. And flowers were rained from the skies all over the amphitheater. And the musicians struck up in concert. Bards and heralds began to chant in sweet tones the praises of the hero who accomplished the feat. And beholding Arjuna, Drupada, that slayer of foes, was filled with joy. And the monarch desired to assist with his forces the hero if the occasion arose. And when the uproar was at its height, Yudhishthira, the foremost of all virtuous men, accompanied by those first of men the twins, hastily left the amphitheater for returning to his temporary home. And Krishna, beholding the mark shot and beholding Partha also like unto Indra himself, who had shot the mark, was filled with joy, and approached the son of Kunti with a white robe and a garland of flowers. And Arjuna, the accomplisher of inconceivable feats, having won Draupadi by his success in the amphitheater, was saluted with reverence by all the Brahmanas. And they soon after left the list, followed close by her who thus became his wife. Section 191. Vaimpayana said, when the king, Drupada, expressed his desire of bestowing his daughter on the Brahmana, who had shot the mark, all those monarchs who had been invited to the Swayamvara, looking at one another, were suddenly filled with wrath. And they said, passing us by and treating the assembled monarchs as straw, this Drupada desireth to bestow his daughter, that first of women, on a Brahmana. Having planted the tree he cutteth it down when it is about to bear fruit. The wretch regardeth us not, therefore let us slay him. He deserveth not our respect nor the veneration due to age. Owing to such qualities if he is, we shall, therefore, slay this wretch that insulteth all kings, along with his son. Inviting all the monarchs and entertaining them with excellent food, he disregardeth us at last. In this assemblage of monarchs like unto a conclave of the celestials, doth he not see a single monarch equal unto himself. The Vedic declaration is well known that the Swayamvara is for the Kshatriyas. The Brahmanas have no claim in respect of a selection of husband by a Kshatriya damsel. Or, ye kings, if this damsel deserve not to select any one of us as our lord, let us cast her into the fire and return to our kingdoms. As regards this Brahmana, although he hath, from officiousness or avarice, done this injury to the monarchs, he should not yet be slain. For our kingdoms, lives, treasures, sons, grandsons, and whatever other wealth we have, all exist for Brahmanas. Something must be done here, even unto him, so that from fear of disgrace and the desire of maintaining what property belongeth unto each order, other Swayamvaras may not terminate in this way. Having addressed one another thus, those Tigers among monarchs endued with arms like unto spiked iron messes, took up their weapons and rushed at Drupada to slay him then and there. And Drupada, beholding those monarchs all at once rushing towards him in anger with bows and arrows, sought, from fear, the protection of the Brahmanas. But those mighty bowmen, Bhima and Arjuna, of the Pandavas, capable of chastising all foes, advanced to oppose those monarchs rushing towards them impetuously like elephants in the season of drought. Then the monarchs with gloved fingers and upraised weapons rushed in anger at the Kuru princes, Bhima and Arjuna, to slay them. Then the mighty Bhima of extraordinary achievements, endued with the strength of thunder, tore up like an elephant a large tree and divested it of its leaves. And with that tree, the strong-armed Bhima, the son of Pritha, that grinder of foes, stood, like unto the mace-bearing king of the dead, Yama, armed with his fierce mace, near Arjuna that bull amongst men. And beholding the feat of his brother, Jishnu of extraordinary intelligence, himself also of inconceivable feats, wondered much. And equal unto Indra himself in achievements, shaking off all fear he stood with his bow ready to receive those assailants. And beholding those feats of both Jishnu and his brother, Damodara, Krishna, of superhuman intelligence and inconceivable feats, addressing his brother, Helida, Vologda, of fierce energy, said, "That hero there, of tread like that of a mighty lion, who draweth the large bow in his hand 4 full cubits in length, is Arjuna. There's no doubt, O Sankarsana, about this, if I am Vasudeva." That other hero who, having speedily torn out the tree, hath suddenly become ready to drive off the monarchs, is Vrukadara. For no one in the world, except Vrukadara, could today perform such a feat in the field of battle. And that other youth of eyes like unto lotus petals, of full 4 cubits height, of gait like that of a mighty lion, and humble withal, of fair complexion and prominent and shining nose, who had, a little before, left the amphitheatre, is Dharma's son, Yudhishthira. The 2 other youths, like unto Kartikeya, are, I suspect, the sons have the twin swoons. I heard that the sons have Pandu along with their mother Prita had all escaped from the conflagration of the house of Lak. Then Helida, of complexion like unto that of clouds uncharged with rain, addressing his younger brother, Krishna, said with great satisfaction, "Oh, I am happy to hear, as I do from sheer good fortune, that our father's sister Prita with the foremost of the Kaurava princes have all escaped from death." Section 192. Vayampayana said, "Then those bulls among Brahmanas shaking their deer skins in water pots made of coconut shells exclaimed, 'Fear not, we will fight the foe.' Arjuna smilingly addressing those Brahmanas exclaiming thus, said, 'Stand ye aside as spectators of the fray, showering hundreds of arrows furnished with straight points, even I shall check, like snakes with mantras, all those angry monarchs.'" Having said this, the mighty Arjuna, taking up the bow he had obtained as dower, accompanied by his brother Bhima, stood immovable as a mountain. And beholding those Kshatriyas who were ever furious in battle with Karna ahead, the heroic brothers rushed fearlessly at them like 2 elephants rushing against a hostile elephant. Then those monarchs eager for the fight fiercely exclaimed, "The slaughter and battle of one desiring to fight is permitted." And saying this, the monarchs suddenly rushed against the Brahmanas. And Karna, endued with great energy, rushed against Jishnu for fight. And Salyu, the mighty king of Mathura, rushed against Bhima like an elephant rushing against another for the Sakavashi elephant in heat, while Duryodhana and others engaged with the Brahmanas, skirmished with them lightly and carelessly. Then the illustrious Arjuna, beholding Karna, the son of Vikartana, Jarya, advancing towards him, drew his tough bow and pierced him with his sharp arrows. And the impetus of those whetted arrows furnished with fierce energy made Radhya, Karna, faint. Recovering consciousness, Karna attacked Arjuna with greater care than before. Then Karna and Arjuna, both foremost of victorious warriors, desirous of vanquishing each other, fought madly on. And such was the lightness of hand they both displayed that, each enveloped by the other's showers of arrows, they both became invisible unto the spectators of their encounter. "Behold the strength of my arms, mark how I have counteracted that feat." Those were the words, intelligible to heroes alone, in which they addressed each other. And incensed at finding the strength and energy of Arjuna's arms unequaled on the earth, Karna, the son of Jarya, fought with greater vigor. And parrying all those impetuous arrows shot at him by Arjuna, Karna sent up a loud shout. And this feat of his was applauded by all the warriors. Then addressing his antagonist, Karna said, "O thou foremost of Brahmanas, I am gratified to observe the energy of thy arms that knoweth no relaxation in battle, and thy weapons themselves fit for achieving victory. Art thou the embodiment of the science of weapons, or art thou Rama, that best of Brahmanas, or Indra himself, or Indra's younger brother Vishnu, called also Achyuta, who for disguising himself hath assumed the form of a Brahmana, and mustering such energy of arms fighteth with me? No other person except the husband himself of Sachi or Kirti, the son of Pandu, is capable of fighting with me when I am angry on the field of battle." Then hearing those words of his, Falgner replied, saying, "O Karna, I am neither the science of arms, personified, nor Rama endued with superhuman powers. I am only a Brahmana who is the foremost of all warriors and all wielders of weapons. By the grace of my preceptor I have become accomplished in the Brahma and the Paratara weapons. I am here to vanquish thee in battle. Therefore, O hero, wait a little." Vayapayana continued, thus addressed, by Arjuna, Karna the adopted son of Radha desisted from the fight, for that mighty chariot fighter thought that Brahma energy is ever invincible. Meanwhile in another part of the field, the mighty heroes Selya and Vrukadara, well skilled in battle and possessed of great strength and proficiency, challenging each other, engaged in fight like two elephants in rout. And they struck each other with their clenched fists and knees, and sometimes pushing each other forward and sometimes dragging each other near, sometimes throwing each other down, face downward, and sometimes on the sides. They fought on, striking each other at times with their clenched fists, and encountering each other with blows hard as the clash of two masses of granite. The lists rang with the sounds of their combat, fighting with each other thus for a few seconds. Bhima, the foremost of the crew heroes, taking up Selya on his arms, hurled him to a distance. And Bhimafcna, the bull amongst men, surprised all by the dexterity of his feet, for though he threw Selya on the ground he did it without hurting him much. And when Selya was thus thrown down and Karna was struck with fear, the other monarchs were all alarmed. And they hastily surrounded Bhima and exclaimed, "Surely these bulls amongst Brahmanas are excellent warriors. Ascertain in what race they have been born and where they abide. Who can encounter Karna, the son of Radha, in fight, except Rama or Drona, or Kirti, the son of Pandu? Who also can encounter Duryodhana in battle except Krishna, the son of Devaki, and Kripa, the son of Saradwan? Who also can overthrow in battle Selya, that first of mighty warriors, except the hero Valogva or Vrukadara, the son of Pandu, or the heroic Duryodhana? Let us, therefore, desist from this fight with the Brahmanas. Indeed, Brahmanas, however offending, should yet be ever protected. And first let us ascertain who these are, for after we have done that we may cheerfully fight with them." Vayapayana continued, and Krishna, having beheld the feat of Bhima, believed them both to be the son of Kunti, and gently addressing the assembled monarchs, saying, "This maiden hath been justly acquired by the Brahmana," induced them to abandon the fight. Accomplished in battle, those monarchs then desisted from the fight. And those best of monarchs then returned to their respective kingdoms, wondering much. And those who had come there went away saying, "The festive scene hath terminated in the victory of the Brahmanas. The princess of Panchala hath become the bride of a Brahmana." And surrounded by Brahmanas dressed in skins have deer and other wild animals, Bhima and Dhananjaya passed with difficulty out of the throng. And those heroes among men, mangled by the enemy and followed by Krishna, on coming at last out of the throng, looked like the full moon and the sun emerging from the clouds. Meanwhile Kunti, seeing that her sons were late in returning from their eleemosynary round, was filled with anxiety. She began to think of various evils having overtaken her sons. At one time she thought that the sons of Dhritarashtra, having recognized her sons, had slain them. Next she feared that some cruel and strong Rakshasas endued with powers of deception had slain them. And she asked herself, could the illustrious Vyasa himself, who had directed my sons to come to Panchala, have been guided by perverse intelligence? Thus reflected Pritha in consequence of her affection for her offspring. Then in the stillness of the late afternoon, Jason, accompanied by a body of Brahmanas, entered the abode of the potter, like the cloud-covered sun appearing on a cloudy day. Section 193. Vaimpayana said, then those illustrious sons of Pritha, on returning to the potter's abode, approached their mother. And those first of men represented Yajnasni unto their mother as the alms they had obtained that day. And Kuni, who was there within the room and saw not her sons, replied, saying, enjoy ye all what ye have obtained. The moment after, she beheld Krishna, and then she said, oh, what have I said? And anxious from fear of sin, and reflecting how everyone could be extricated from the situation, she took the cheerful Yajnasni by the hand, and approaching Yudhishthira said, the daughter of King Yajnasena, upon being represented to me by thy younger brothers as the alms they had obtained, from ignorance, O king, I said what was proper, namely, enjoy ye all what hath been obtained. O thou bull of the Kuru race, tell me how my speech may not become untrue, how sin may not touch the daughter of the king of Panchala, and how also she may not become uneasy. Vaimpayana continued, thus addressed by his mother, that hero among men, that foremost sign of the Kuru race, the intelligent king, Yudhishthira, reflecting for a moment, consoled Kunti, and addressing Dhananjaya, said, by thee, O Phalguna, hath Yajnasni been won. It is proper, therefore, that thou shalt sweat her. O thou withstander of all foes, igniting the sacred fire, take thou her hand with due rites. Arjuna, hearing this, replied, O king, do not make me a participator in sin. Thy behest is not conformable to virtue. That is the path followed by the sinful. Thou shalt sweat first, then the stronger may be Hima of inconceivable feats, then myself, then Nakula, and last of all, Sahadeva endued with great activity. Both Vrukadara and myself, and the twins and this maiden also, all await, O monarch, thy commands. When such is the state of things, do that, after reflection, which would be proper, and confirmable virtue, and productive of fame, and beneficial unto the king of Panchala. All of us are obedient to thee. Oh, command us as thou likest. Vaimpayana continued, hearing these words of Jason, so full of respect and affection, the Pandavas all cast their eyes upon the princess of Panchala. And the princess of Panchala also looked at them all. And casting their glances on the illustrious Krishna, those princes looked at one another. And taking their seats, they began to think of Draupadi alone. Indeed, after those princes of immeasurable energy had looked at Draupadi, the god of desire invaded their hearts and continued to crush all their senses. As the lavishing beauty of Panchali, who had been modeled by the Creator himself, was superior to that of all other women on earth, it could captivate the heart of every creature. And Yudhishthira, the son of Kunti, beholding his younger brothers, understood what was passing in their minds. And that bull among men immediately recollected the words of Krishna Dvaparayana. And the king, then, from fear of a division amongst the brothers, addressing all of them, said, the auspicious Draupadi shall be the common wife of us all. Vaimpayana continued, the sons of Pandu, then, hearing those words of their eldest brother, began to revolve them in their minds in great cheerfulness. The hero of the Vrishna race, Krishna, suspecting the 5 persons he had seen at the Swayamvara to be none else than the heroes of the Kuru race, came accompanied by the son of Rohini, Valagda, to the house of the potter where those foremost of men had taken up their quarters. On arriving there, Krishna and Valagda beheld seated in the potter's house Ajatasena, Yudhishthira, of well-developed and long arms, and his younger brothers passing the splendor of fire sitting around him. Then Vasudeva, approaching the foremost of virtuous men, the son of Kunti, and touching the feet of that prince of the Ajamita race, said, I am Krishna. And the son of Rohini, Valagda, also approaching Yudhishthira, did the same. And the Pandavas, beholding Krishna and Vologda, began to express great delight. And, O thou foremost of the Bharata race, those heroes of the Yadu race thereafter touched also the feet of Kunti, their father's sister. And Ajatasattu, that foremost of the Kuru race, beholding Krishna, inquired after his well-being and asked, How, O Vasudeva, hast thou been able to trace us, as we are living in disguise? And Vasudeva, smilingly answered, O king, fire, even if it is covered, can be known. Who else among men than the Pandavas could exhibit such might? Ye resistors of all foes, ye sons have Pandu, by sheer good fortune have ye escaped from that fierce fire. And it is by sheer good fortune alone that the wicked son of Dhritarashtra and his counselors have not succeeded in accomplishing their wishes. Blessed be ye. And grow ye in prosperity like a fire in a cave, gradually growing and spreading itself all around. And lest any of the monarchs recognize ye, let us return to our tent. Then, obtaining Yudhishthira's leave, Krishna, at prosperity knowing no decrease, accompanied by Vologda, hastily went away from the potter's abode. Section 194. Vayampayana said, when the Kuru princes, Bhima and Arjuna, were wending towards the abode of the potter, Dhrishtadyumna, the Panchala prince followed them. And sending away all his attendants, he concealed himself in some part of the potter's house, unknown to the Pandavas. Then Bhima, that grinder of all foes, and Jason, and the illustrious twins, on returning from their eleemosynary round in the evening, cheerfully gave everything unto Yudhishthira. Then the kind-hearted Kunti, addressing the daughter of Drupada, said, O amiable one, take thou first a portion from this and devote it to the gods, and give it away to Brahmanas, and feed those that desire to eat, and give unto those who have become our guests. Divide the rest into 2 halves. Give one of these unto Bhima, O amiable one, for the strong youth of fair complexion, equal unto a king of elephants, this hero always eateth much. And divide the other half into 6 parts, 4 for these youths, 1 for myself, and 1 for thee. Then the princess, hearing those instructive words of her mother-in-law, cheerfully did all that she had been directed to do. And those heroes then all ate of the food prepared by Krishna. Then Sarada, the son of Maitri, endued with great activity, spread on the ground a bed of kusa grass. Then those heroes, each spreading thereon his deer skin, laid themselves down to sleep. And those foremost of the Kuru princes lay down with heads towards the south. And Kunti laid herself down along the line of their heads, and Krishna along that of their feet. And Krishna, though she lay with the sons of Pandu on that bed of kusa grass along the line of their feet as if she were an other pillow, grieved not in her heart nor thought disrespectfully of those bulls amongst the Kurus. Then those heroes began to converse with one another. And the conversations of those princes, each worthy to lead an army, was exceedingly interesting, they being upon celestial cars and weapons and elephants, and swords and arrows, and baglaks. And the son of the Panchala king listened, from his place of concealment, unto all they said. And all those who were with them beheld Krishna in that state. When morning came, the prince Dhritarashtra set out from his place of concealment with great haste in order to report to Drupada in detail all that had happened at the potter's abode and all that he had heard those heroes speak amongst themselves during the night. The king of Panchala had been sad because he knew not the Pandavas as those who had taken away his daughter. And the illustrious monarch asked Dhritarashtra on his return, Oh, where hath Krishna gone? Who hath taken her away? Hath any Sudra or anybody of mean descent, or hath a tribute Pandava by taking my daughter away, placed his dirty foot on my head? O son, hath that wreath of flowers been thrown away on the graveyard? Hath any Kshatri of high birth, or anyone of the superior order, Brahmana, obtained my daughter? Hath anyone of mean descent, by having one Krishna, placed his left foot on my head? I would not, O son, grieve but feel greatly happy, if my daughter hath been united with pair to that foremost of men. O thou exalted one, tell me truly who hath won my daughter today? Oh, are the sons have the foremost of Krus, Vishatravirya's son alive? Was it Partha, Arjuna, that took up the bow and shot the mark? The Mahabharata of Krishna Dvapurana Vyasa. Translated into English, prose from the original Sanskrit, text by Kesari Mohan Ganguly, 1883–1896. Calcutta.